Hello, guys. This is Francisco with Valareso Capital, and I'm bringing you the weekly watch list for December 27. And I'm also going to mention some of the action that we have in the Nasdaq Composite, some encouraging action for the bulls. And I'm also going to mention, I'm going to go through the names that I mentioned in the last weekly watch list, which, by the way, they are still all valid and in buy points. So let's get started here with the Nasdaq Composite. You can see the Nasdaq Composite. We have a double bottom action with rising momentum in my indicators, and now we were watching for this action to get confirmed by a close above the 50 DMA, which is this purple line right here, and we got the close on Friday. We got the close on Friday, and we got also this very encouraging signal from my indicator, which is telling me basically that the bearish momentum is coming to an end. And we also have this rising momentum, which signals a high probability move going up here to the 2 ATR and even to test all-time highs. So everything looking very interesting for the bulls. And I'm looking for higher prices in the Nasdaq Composite. So let's start with some of the names that I mentioned last week. Let's start with Apple. So here's Apple and continues to look amazing. So here we got the move all the way up. We got the selling bar right here, and then we have the pullback into the rising 21 EMA. So we got the pullback into the rising 21 EMA. We got a strong close in this day right here, and now we're getting continuation, and we're getting three closes above the 80 EMA, which is this orange line right here. So I think that if you're not involved in Apple, you look to get yourself involved somewhere about the 80 EMA, and I think that we're looking for a move to the 1272 extension. I think that the 3 trillion price point is somewhere around here in 182.50, but I think we're going past that. We have the selling exhaustion signals, we have the trust signal, which suggests that we're going to a new all-time high. So look for higher prices in Apple, which continues to look amazing. And then I also mentioned MDB. I mentioned MDB here as one of the software names that are starting to act well. We can see that MDB barely corrected while the Nasdaq Composite was down. You can see that MDB traded between the plus one ATR level and the minus one ATR level. And we can see that we got a confirmed buy signal on this day right here. We have a confirmed buy signal. We have the RAV indicators showing that the bearish momentum is done, and we also have an increasing rising momentum with a squeeze. So basically, as mentioned last week, I'm continuing to look for a move to all-time highs in MDB. And then let's move to MRVL. Very similar to the action in Apple here, right? We got the move higher. Of course, we had earnings, and then we got the pullback all the way into a rising 21 EMA. And usually, what you expect of strong momentum stocks that are signaled by this green line right here, you expect these momentum stocks, right, to hold this rising 21 EMA. So that's usually a high probability entry for a trade going into the long side. So what I'm seeing here is that we're continuing to close above this 80 EMA, and I continue to target a move to the 1272 extension. And as always, try to manage risk using this rising 21 EMA or this hard stop in 81.50, somewhere around there. So that continues to look great. And then let's go with Roku, which is one of my favorites going into next week, right? And one of the reasons Roku is one of my favorites here, we have price going down, but we have an indicator going up, and that usually suggests that we're going to get a very explosive move to the upside. What I like about Roku is that we have so many shorts right here that I think there's a high probability that we're going to squeeze them for higher prices. So basically what I'm looking for Roku, right? I'm not looking for a crazy move to 300 or anything like that, but I like the idea of Roku holding this 80 MA, which continues to do, and this squeeze with rising momentum and a rising indicator with bullish momentum. I'm looking for a move up here to the falling 50 DMA, and that's going to be a 2 ATR move. And if you're holding options or you're selling a spread, that usually signals that usually, if you get that kind of move, you're usually getting some very interesting profits depending on how you're playing it. So the way I'm playing this one, I'm playing it with bull calls, right? I have a 250 long strike, and I have a 280 short strike, if I remember right. And I'm looking for this to go up and reach higher prices. Also, what's really interesting is that we have this undercut of the lows, and then we end up finish near the highs of the day. So this one is looking pretty nice. I will probably add to this position, but it's looking pretty interesting. If you're not in it, this is a great place to get in, and always try to use this one as your stop and that as your target, looking for a 2-to-1 risk reward or 3-to-1 depending on how you're playing it. So that one continues to look great. And then also I like a snow here, but also the price action was not ideal for bulls, right? We have the double bottom, right? We have price, which is above the 80 MA. We have the rising indicator, and we also have the rising momentum, which looks good. But of course, we want to see snow reclaiming this 21 EMA, which is the blue line here, and we also want to see snow reclaiming the 50 DMA, which is the purple line. And ultimately, what I want to see in snow is a close above the 0618 Fibonacci retracement. I think that way we can squeeze the shorts that are keeping price from these levels and looking for a move up to this pivot right here. As always, I try to get involved near the 21 EMA. I target a 2 ATR move, and I usually use a, a -1 ATR move for my stop, and that usually gives me a 2-to-1 risk reward. So those are the names that I mentioned last week, which they continue to be valid. Everything is looking great. I think the high probability move continues to be to the upside. And that's why I want to introduce some new names to this list, right? One of the names that I want to introduce is Amazon. And Amazon continues to look amazing, right? We have this wedging pattern here, right? We have the DTL, we have the wedge right here. So while you're looking for a wedge, like kind of a confirmation to get in, you're looking for this candle right here, right? We got this candle that closes above the wedge, right? That closes above the DTL, which is the downtrend line, and you're looking for higher prices, right? I like to, if you're getting in somewhere around here in this 21, as always, I try to use kind of the -1 ATR level or these lows as my stop, and then look for a 2 ATR level, and that usually gives you a 2-to-1 risk reward. So this one is looking awesome, right? We also have lower prices and a higher indicator, and we also have this slingshot squeeze, which confirms that there's a high probability move to the upside. That's for Amazon. And then right here we have Datadog. What I like about Datadog is that it looks right. We have the double bottom. A lot of these software names look very similar. So I don't think that you need to play Snow and MDB and DDOG. I think you can choose one of the three. But in my opinion, the one that is looking best right now is DDOG, right? We have the inside day, we have price above the 50 DMA, we have price above the 8, we have a price above the 21. And what we're looking here is just DDOG to clear this 0618 level, and that opens the door for a challenge of new highs. As always, we have this flat, we have this double bottom, we have a rising indicator, and we also have a rising squeeze. So I'm looking for a high probability move to higher prices. And then the last name that I'm watching here, which I continue to think that it looks awesome, is Facebook. And the reason is, right, we can see that Facebook got slaughtered, right? It got in a cascade, right? It broke this 50, was holding, or we can see, let me go somewhere. Okay, here. So we can see that Facebook, right? Facebook entered this uptrend. It was holding the 50, holding the 50, holding the 50, holding the 50. And right here, close below the 50, and we got all this selling coming in, right? We got the retest of the 50, we have the failure. And what I think is really interesting here in Facebook is that we have the lower prices, we have the rising indicators. And I think that Facebook right now, let me get this here. What I think in Facebook right now is that you can see that we have this flattening, right? The 50 DMA is starting to flat right here. And as soon as the 50 DMA starts to get flat here, I think there's a high probability move for a test of at least these pivots right here. So I'm looking for a test of the pivots right here. So we have, right, we have the rising indicator, we have the rising indicator, we have the squeeze, and then I'm looking for Facebook to continue to hold this 330.50 level, and then I'm looking ultimately for a test of 350 right here. So as always, try to get involved somewhere around here. Try to use the minus 1 ATR as your stop, and then target a move to 2 ATR, and that as always gives you the 2 to 1 risk reward. So those are all the names that I have for you guys. I think that there's a high probability that we're gonna move higher, especially into this last week of the Santa Claus rally. A lot of the action in the stocks continue to look bullish. All my indicators are pointing higher, and I think you play this to the upside. I don't think there's any signals to get short or any signals to try to fight this upcoming move. So just pick your stocks. I think the vast majority of them are going to move higher, but as always, get prepared, have your stops, and we'll see. So thank you for watching, guys, and have an amazing rest of your weekend, and of course, I hope that you and your family had a very amazing Christmas. So Merry Christmas, and I'll see you soon, guys. Thank you.